Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar on cnVision. This session is being recorded, and if you have any questions during the webinar, please enter them into the questions panel. Today we have Sakit Ahmed, who is General Manager of ePMP and cnVision Business, and we also have Chinmay Keskar, who is Systems Engineer at Cambium Networks. At this point, I will pass it over to you, Sakit.
Hey, thanks, Olivia. Good morning and good afternoon to everybody who joined. Thank you for joining this webinar. As Olivia mentioned, this is a cnVision specific webinar. Today's webinar, we're going to cover the companion tool, which you should see on Chinmay's screen. The idea behind the companion tool, those of you that are familiar with it, and some of you who've already used it, is that the companion tool's objective is to allow some RF radio frequency link planning with cnVision devices. It's not a replacement for Link Planner, if you're familiar with it, but think of it as a significantly simplified version of Link Planner. You may ask why the simplification? In our minds, as we look at outdoor video camera CCTV deployments, we have concluded that typical deployments are very short distance. You don't really need to worry about propagation of the radio frequency, significant non-line of sight, the heights of the ground, et cetera, and also that many system integrators that are deploying cameras are not super familiar with the complexity of radio frequency design. So in order to make the solution simple, we created the companion tool that allows you to easily plan your network of 1 to 5 cameras, 10 cameras, 30 or 40 cameras, and be able to do that pretty easily. We don't believe there is any other tool in the market that integrates the wireless component to the camera component. There are many tools that help you with camera planning, such as how much recording space to plan, resolution, when you put a camera, how does the image look? So very camera centric. What we've attempted to do is take things like camera resolution, codecs, and things like that, and plug that into the wireless planning so that you can understand that when you deploy a certain wireless link, how many cameras you can put underneath it with what characteristics. The tool is now available on the Cambium Network support site at support.cambiumnetworks.com. It is free, and we would like to have this tool be used by as many people, as many integrators as possible. I noticed in the call we have some of our integrators as well as some of our distributors. So it would be great that if you can take this recording and publish it through your marketing channels as well, so that more people and more of your customers are aware of the companion tool. So that is the overall story. As always, we welcome questions. We also welcome ideas on how to make this tool even better. We have multiple language support in it, by the way, which Chinmay will cover. But with that, I am going to log off and hand over the call to Chinmay, who will walk you through a demo, and he will talk through all the features that are available today. With that, Chinmay, off to you.
Thank you, Sakit. So as you can see, this is the cnVision companion tool, which helps you in planning your network. So this is more like a know before go tool. So let's get started and go to the planning and see how do we do this. So for that, you just clicked on go to plan, and here you can add the devices by clicking this plus button. So I already have a project created which I'm simply gonna import. So as you can see here, so there is one hub 360, which is one of the hubs in our cnVision product portfolio, and connecting and it being a point to multi-point product, connecting 2 clients to it. And for the sake of this demo, I have added 1 camera connecting to each client. So let's first go to the configuration of the hub. So you can name the device, choose which country it is operating on, choose the device. So from Hub Flex R or Hub 360, or even our clients can be used as hubs. So you can choose the clients as well. So I'm choosing Hub 360R. Okay, so talking about the interference. So this is very, as Sakid mentioned, simplified version of link planner. So this is very simplified version of the link planner, where what we are doing is we have just simply created these 5 levels of interferences from none to low, medium, high, and very high. So this is specifically designed for the people who are not very wireless savvy. So based on your spectrum analysis scan on your hub or clients, you can choose what interference level you see. So next variable you can configure is channel bandwidth and device latitude and longitude. So with that, let's move on to client configuration. So in client configuration, similar things, device name, this client is connected to which hub, which device is being used as a client, device lat and long for the client so that the tool calculates the distance to the hub. And then you can add cameras uh, below the client or cameras connecting to the client. So in the camera configuration, uh, we are looking for mainly these 3 variables: resolution, compression, and frames per second. So in the resolution, we have almost all the options available for the camera resolution. And in compression, we do cover different variants of H.264, which are baseline, main, and high. And in these 3, low, high, and medium quality. Then these 3 variants of H.265, MPEG-4, and JPEG MJPEG. So based on these 3 variables, resolution, compression, and frames per second, this tool is calculating what is maximum throughput will be required by this particular camera. So similarly on other client, I have added one more camera. So the total throughput of both the cameras, 5 plus 7 is something around 13.2 Mbps. And using this particular radio with 20 megahertz channel width, no interference, and this distance from the clients to the hub, maximum uplink throughput that you would get out of these radios is 112. So out of which currently 13 Mbps is being utilized. So the link utilization is 12%. So using this tool, you can um, conclude, or you can know, hey, how many cameras can I add using and use this particular cnVision radio link that will work just fine. So yep, that's about how this tool can be helpful for planning your deployment before you actually deploy. So let me quickly go back to home and show you the discover feature, which is very simple. So all you need to do is run this tool on the same network as your cnVision devices, and all the devices will be discovered here so that you can do things like firmware upgrade. But having said that, we will also have CN Maestro, which is our cloud management platform for managing and configuring the cnVision radios. So you can do things like firmware upgrade from our cloud management platform as well. So yep, that's all about this cnVision companion tool. Pretty straightforward. You can add the radios, you can add the cameras, you can get the throughput for the cameras, and then you can plan. So how many cameras can you connect to a particular client that will work just fine with your cnVision deployment. Okay, so now, so are there any questions, comments? So questions and also comments or suggestions are welcome here. So so the question that I have is, do you think that this tool is useful? Do you have any feedback or any suggestions? How what do you think, or is there anything that you feel can be made to do better? Okay, so one of the questions I see here is, okay, so one of the questions is, when calculating max uplink throughput, do you assume 30/70 downlink uplink ratio? Yes, the answer is yes. So by default we are having these radios configured to 30/70 downlink uplink ratio, because of course this being the camera solution, you would need most throughput on the uplink, because the camera data will be going from the client to the hub side, which is the uplink direction. So 30/70, assuming 30/70 ratio. So export to map, uh, I don't believe export to map is possible, just like we do in link planner, but by clicking this icon you can see it on map like this. So that's the only thing that we have currently. So exporting this whole thing to something like KMZ file or Google Earth at this point is not possible. So the next question we see here is, which cameras are compatible with cnVision? Okay, so answer to that is, so cnVision basically are nothing but the radios which are going to be backhauling your camera traffic all the way from camera to your VMS, and then communication. It's going to allow your VMSs to communicate with camera back and forth. So basically any camera will work, because we are just a transparent wireless bridge who will be transferring the data between the camera and your VMS. But having said that, talking about the compatibility with cnVision, if you mean detecting the cameras on the web UI of the cnVision, for that all the cameras which have on-WIF capability, so if the camera supports on-WIF protocol, then those will be detected on the web UI of cnVision, and you can do the replay of video stream on the web UI of cnVision. Having said that, that's an optional feature. Again, radios, the main aim of having the radios is to transport your camera data all the way back to your VMS. But as an additional support, if the camera supports on-WIF protocol, then it can be detected on the web UI of cnVision radio, and you can do the things like replay the video stream, as well as from the web UI of cnVision, you can send on-WIF command to the camera to reboot itself. So those two features that we are supporting. So next question is, can we see the interference level section? Yeah, sure. Okay, so you need to go to Edit Hub and see the interference level section. So what you can do to identify this is, so from our product portfolio, all the radios except for Hub 360 have dedicated radio for the spectrum analysis scan. So for example, Hub Flex R, as well as Client Mini, Micro, and Max R, they have, so if you go to the web UI of the radios tools and spectrum analyzer, you can check the spectrum, and based on your noise level or the interference and the noise level at the particular frequency that you are choosing on this tool, you can choose among these 5 levels of interference: none, low, medium, high, or very high. Okay, so that's all questions that we have had so far. Can you introduce specific interference level? Yes, so that's a good question. I think I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. So for example, if I understand your question, so Claudio, if I understand your question correctly, what you mean to ask is, so what interference level, say for example, -90 or -85 corresponds to what level? Like whether, so for example, if you want to choose medium, what exactly is the dBm of the interference for which you would choose medium? If that's the question, then I think I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. Yes, yes, sure. So like a conversion table. Yes, I will get back to you as well as all other attendees on the this webinar, that exactly the conversion table, like which level corresponds to what range of interference, so that you would know for what, when you see what amount of interference, you should choose which level in this particular table. Yes, and that's a very good suggestion. Yes, we will discuss that internally, Claudio, and get back to you as well as all the other attendees. Yep, definitely. So that can be a future options in the software as well, like you just mentioned. So one more question we have is, where can you use the export project? Okay, so let's see. So export project is just gonna create a JSON file. So okay, let me. Okay, so it's gonna create a JSON file like this, which I believe you should be able to import later on. Is it possible to have different interference levels for each client? So as of now, I believe we do not have that option, but I believe the reason why we have not created different levels of interference for client for now is uh, typical camera deployment are uh, generally short distances, like a few hundreds of feet. So there is a chance that uh, the interference interference which you would see at the hub is very close to what you would see at the client. Uh, Having said that, of course, there is a chance that that is not true, and you would have different level of interference at client. But I believe just for the sake of simplicity, we have created the level of interference only on the hub side. So for now, I believe, okay, so for now and the later, so let's talk about two cases where if we stick to having interference level only on the hub. In that case, you can do it on the hub and see whether that gives you the realistic planning. I mean, whether that planning is realistic with your actual, what you actually get. And then if not, if we get the feedback saying, hey, we have different interference level on the client and we would need the interference configuration on the client side as well, then we will do that for sure, create the level of interference at client side as well, just like what you already have on the link planner tool, uh, where you can add interference at hub as well as all the clients.
Hi, Chinmay. It looks like the questions have stopped coming in. We've gotten quite a few already.
I think we
Another
just
one
got
just came in.
one more. Yeah. So another question is, if I need to backhaul video traffic from 16 units of HD cameras, can these devices be deployed? Yes. So answer to that is this tool. So you can add those HD cameras to this tool, and then you can add the resolution compression which you are using, and frames per second of those particular cameras. So you can add multiple cameras connecting to each client and add as many as 16 cameras to this. And if your used uplink throughput is less than or equal to maximum uplink throughput, meaning if your utilization is within 100%, then answer is yes, totally. You can add 16 units of HD cameras to these devices. Yes, and typically speaking, okay, so or if we assume you already know the throughput required by each camera. So talking about the throughput of these devices, so at 20 megahertz, 70% of the time given for uplink, as you can see, at no interference, your maximum uplink throughput is something around 112 Mbps. So if I were to change this to 40 megahertz, that should ideally be double, so 234 Mbps. And if you have very clean spectrum where you can choose 80 megahertz as well, then the total available throughput is somewhere around 500 Mbps. So I'm sure, yes, it should be able to definitely incorporate those 16 units of HD cameras depending on what channel bandwidth you are using on the radio. Okay, Olivia, looks like that's all the questions that we have had. So if there are not any more questions, then I think we can conclude
All right.
the
Well,
webinar. And with that, if you come across, or if you can think of any more questions as you use this tool, feel free to shoot us an email, and we will be more than happy to assist you or get your feedback on the tool and make the arrangements. So can we get the webinar recording, Olivia? I believe yes, we will be sharing the recording with everybody, correct?
yes, we'll be sharing an email with all attendees with the link to the webinar recording in 24 hours.
Perfect.
All right. So thank you, Sakit and Chinmay. We'll have a recording out to everyone, and we will also have another survey pop up after this webinar. If you have any other unanswered questions, you can feel free to enter them there. Thank you for joining, and have a good day.